What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're on Enhancement Shaman today. I'm on the PTR. We're going to round out all the Shaman tier set bonuses, and we're going to move on to some other classes and specs soon, but we're just going to finish up with Shaman, and Enhancement Shaman is here. This is kind of what the tier set looks like. It's pretty good looking if you use some of the artifact weapons that Enhancement Shaman has access to. So pretty cool if you ask me. This is just one of the colors as well. Yo guys, the gnome would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. All right, thanks, bye. Let's talk about the tier sets that are coming in season 3. Remember, the tier sets are tied to the hero trees, okay? So when you change to Stormbringer, your tier set will change, and if you change over to Totemic, your tier set's going to change again. It's going to, the function of it will change entirely. So let's look at the tier set for Totemic. We're going to start with Totemic, and then we'll go to the Stormbringer one afterwards, okay? When you consume, after consuming all of the whirling element motes, your surging totem casts Primordial Storm at 200% effectiveness. So that's times 3 the damage. It's a lot of damage. After casting Primordial Storm, either yourself or when the totem does it now, your next Lava Lash or Fire Nova casts again at 150% effectiveness. So very nice. That's 2.5 times the effectiveness. So this is interesting. It's actually pretty simple and straightforward, but basically you're going to be getting 2 Primordial Storms now. Your regular Primordial Storm that you get after casting Primordial Wave, and the Primordial Storm that now comes from Surging Totem, which is super cool. The Primordial Storm that you get from Surging Totem does not give you Splintered Elements, the haste buff, because that comes from Primordial Wave, which is the first half of the combo. You don't get the first half of the combo with this new tier set bonus. You just get the second half, which is the big Primordial Storm. But, excuse me, what is really cool is that the Primordial Storm that you cast from your totem, as it says in the 4-piece here, your next Lava Lash or your next Fire Nova will go at 150% effectiveness. So you can essentially get 2 Lava Lashes or 2 Fire Novas at 150% effectiveness. So again, your own totem when you drop it, and then if you eventually do a Fire Nova after you've consumed all of the motes, then it casts twice. Then you can cast your own Primordial Wave, Primordial Storm, and then cast Fire Nova again. It'll cast twice. So very interesting combo there. And we're going to look at it here on the dummies in just a second. That's really the only big, the big thing to think about, in my opinion. This is pretty straightforward. As I said, you just play Totemic the way that you normally play it, and then you're going to get this extra Primordial Storm going off, which again is super cool, but it doesn't have a ton of interaction except for that extra potential Fire Nova. I was just doing a bunch of damage on the dummies, and my Fire Nova was almost 7% of my damage. So maybe there's a case to be made for taking Fire Nova with this build. I don't think you will necessarily, because you can just use that on Lava Lash, but if you want really big AoE damage, having Fire Nova proc a second time twice is kind of good in my opinion. Pretty cool there. So let's look at this. Remember, my stats are like kind of horrible, and this is only 4 target cleave. Just please forget about the numbers. We're looking at functionality, right? How does it feel to play? What builds does it potentially open up? So we'll go Totem, and then we'll do this. Okay, we're gonna consume all of our modes here, and then we'll do a Fire Nova. Boom, boom, it goes off twice. Very, very cool. And then we're gonna go Primordial Wave into a Primordial Storm, and then we're gonna not press our Lava Lash just for a second. We do another Fire Nova, and it goes twice. So the only problem, right, is that Fire Nova has a cooldown, but the cooldown is reduced by haste. So if you get way more haste than what I have right now, then your Fire Nova you could be getting a double Fire Nova off like often, which is really, really cool. And I think that you could have a build that revolves around Fire Nova. I think that could actually work, which is super cool and interesting to me. Here's Primordial Storm, then another Fire Nova. There we go. And then again, we have our totem back again. We do totem again. We consume all those motes, right? And then we're going to get, we actually already got the double damage fire. We did a double damage Lava Lash there, so that was my mistake. But you might have to play around that if you want to play with Fire Nova. That's all. But really, guys, this doesn't play any differently. There isn't really anything else going on that's different about this particular tree, other than the fact that you can do this double this double Fire Nova, which is very cool. But again, the gameplay is actually just the same. We'll look at the damage really quickly. Surging Totem, Sundering, Flame Shock, because we're doubling the damage of our Flame Shock, Wind Fury, Crash Lightning. There's Fire Nova, 7.2%. That's not bad. That's not bad. And our Lava Lash would have went up a little bit too because we had it proc a couple of times doing extra damage. But I don't know, you know, Fire Nova is, it's not uncapped AoE, but it's kind of as close as you can get. Because if you have 6 Flame Shocks out and each one of those Flame Shocks detonates a Fire Nova, that's gonna, and each of those Fire Novas can hit up to 6 targets. Like, you're just hitting a lot of extra targets there. So in terms of sort of mass AoE, I think this could actually be really big. You could get a huge chunk of damage if you do it kind of right. Now, again, it's a little bit wonky if you don't have enough haste. If I had like 40% haste or something, the cooldown of Fire Nova would be probably 10 seconds instead of 12, maybe less, which means I would be able to pull off the combo a lot more easily, right? You proc your Surging Totem Primordial Storm, and then you press Fire Nova, and then you do your Primordial Storm, your regular one, Primordial Wave, Primordial Storm, into another Fire Nova pretty quickly. That could work out. We'll have to wait and see. But that's the Totemic one. That's the damage. It's fine. It's a little boring in my opinion, but I think it's going to do a lot of damage. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all for you. I think the damage is going to be absolutely solid. So we'll just have to wait and see how it kind of shapes up. Now we'll switch over to Stormbringer, and I will read the I'll read the thing in just a second. I got to switch my build here. What was I getting rid of? I think the wolves. I don't remember what I got rid of actually. Might have been the extra Sundering. Yeah, we want Storm Flurry. It's something like this, whatever. It's not great. Just don't even worry about it. There's a talent here that I gotta switch, and I don't know what it is. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 right there. So we can't even get this. I think I want Legacy of the Frostwish. Actually, no. You know what? We don't want it. There it is. We're gonna do this instead. Legacy of the Frostwish resets Storm Strike for you, which in the Stormbringer build is a lot better. But we actually don't need it because we have 2 charges of Storm right there. Storm Strike. So here's what the tier set does. Ascendance has a 100% chance to grant a charge of Tempest, and every 3 Awakening Storms now activates Ascendance for 6 seconds. Insane 2-piece, by the way. Nature damage is increased by 5%, and Ascendance empowers your next 2 Tempests to gather a storm above that does 1 million nature damage to the primary target, and then damage to everybody else, but at a reduced rate. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can play this. You can play this as Deeply Rooted, in which case the tier set is proccing Ascendance and you're proccing Ascendance as well, or you can play this with a consistent 2-minute Ascendance cooldown, because remember, Thorum's Invocation reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds. So it's up to you. I think going the Ascendance route is probably better, just like straight up better. But I think the proccing Ascendance, the Deeply Rooted, is way more fun, in my opinion. I think it's way more fun. So yeah, we're going to go like this. Oh, what am I doing? Let's spread the Flame Shocks around. Primordial Wave, Primordial Storm. We'll do a Sundering. Okay, now we're off to the races. We're going to start pressing our Storm abilities. And we're going to get... There's an Ascendance proc right there. Boom. And then we're just going to press Wind Strike. And Wind Strike is going to proc more Ascendances for us. And it's going to proc our Chain Lightning... or our Lightning Bolt. It's also going to proc Ascendance for, or Tempest for us, sorry. So we don't even have to worry about proccing Tempest on our own. We don't have to worry about it at all. It'll just happen. We'll go there. We're going to get another proc here in a second. There we go. Boom, proc right there. I swear I'm not scripting this. I just know that it's going to happen. There's a second proc. I'm just pressing Wind Strike. Wind Strike, Wind Strike, Wind Strike. I'll do a Crash Lightning here. Look at all the wolves I have. I have so many wolves because I'm getting these Tempest procs. It's insane, guys. Primordial Wave, Primordial Storm. My wolves are over there attacking the random boss. They're all probably going to die because, you know, that's how it works. There's another Tempest. There's another proc. Boom, there's another proc right there. So you can see what I'm talking about. You get all these procs, and it's really fun. I think it's way more fun and interesting. And this is just one way that you can build this. You can build this, of course, with Ascendance if you want it. But I think the Deeply Rooted version of this is so much fun. It's just procs on procs on procs. It happens all the time. So there you go. Tempest, Chain Lightning, Crash Lightning. There's Storm's Eye. That is the 4-piece essentially. The bottom part of our 4-piece says that you're going to get that extra, the Tempest that gather above the enemy. It's doing an enormous amount of damage, right? 9% of our damage. just from that thing alone, which is disgusting. So now let's flip over to do actual 2-minute Ascendance, and we'll just see what it kind of looks like. I think it's great. I think it's just as great. I like the procking one. I like Deeply Rooted personally, but I can understand people who are like, hey, Ascendance is actually just better. I totally get it. I get what you're saying. So we'll try this again. I'll just set up a Flame Shock first, do a Crash Lightning. I don't even have Doom Winds up, but that's okay. We're going to go Primordial Wave, Primordial Storm, Rock Ascendance. We're just going to press our Wind Strike here. I'm just pressing Wind Strike. And now we can get additional procs of Ascendance from our Tempests that come down, right? That's where we're getting it from, which is great. We actually didn't get one there. That's kind of unlucky, but now you can have a solid 2-minute cooldown, and you can have procs on top of it. So there's another proc right there. Boom. So it's really up to you. I think it's like about whatever you think is more valuable. I personally like the Deeply Rooted way, but that's just me. That's just how Zuko rolls. I think having a 2-minute Ascendance cooldown is fantastic. It's a great thing to have. But I just love all the procs. I think this is way more fun than the Totemic tree. I hate to say it, but I think this is way more fun. The Totemic one, again, is fine. It's just a little boring, in my opinion, where it's like you're just triggering Primordial Storms, which do a lot of damage, and they do look kind of flashy when they go off, but nothing looks or feels as good as getting an Ascendance proc just like this. I mean, nothing feels as good as that, in my opinion. It's way more fun. So anyway, that is that. I'll look at the damage overall here in a second. Oops, I gotta practice one more time. Boom. Okay. So again, Tempest is at the top, then Chain Lightning, Crash Lightning, Lightning Rod. Storm's Eye only did 6% that time, but I think it would even out. It's about the same. And then we'll take Blaze, Wind Fury, yada yada. So that's it. That's how that goes. And I think both are completely fine, guys. I think both of the Enhancement Shaman tier bonuses are going to be really fun. I think the Totemic one, you can have this kind of controlled burst where you wait for all the mobs to get gathered up, you drop your totem, you consume all the motes, and then you get this big Primordial Storm going off, and then you cast your own Primordial Storm, and you get this big detonation. If you include Fire Nova into that, you have a double proccing Fire Nova, which does incredible AoE damage, or you don't have to worry about it at all. You can just focus on Lava Lash, consuming that buff. If you flip over to the Stormbringer side, you're getting this proccing Ascendance all the time, which to me is just so awesome and really helps you to take advantage of all the talents on the right side of the tree here, like Static Accumulation and Thorums, and you're getting those extra wolves all the time. The nature wolves are up like permanently. I had 81% uptime on my Feral Spirits, which of course is me proccing them naturally and getting the extra Feral Spirits from the hero tree. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think Enhancement Shamans are both looking fine. I think the Stormbringer one looks and feels way more fun, in my opinion, especially if you take Deeply Rooted. You're going to be getting procs on procs on procs, and you're just going to be inside Ascendance for like most of the dungeon or the raid, in my opinion. I think it's going to be awesome. So let me know what you think in those comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one.